Hello traders, John at StockBookie.com. Today we're looking at Ntes, IBB, BABA, Aapl, CMG, and Twilio. We follow the daily, weekly, monthly time frames, and we use technical analysis here at StockBookie.com. So let's get right into the Ntes on the daily, and what a move it had today, guys. Went to right to 270. What was the high of the day? 270.93, and we were talking about this. I mean, we've been shorting this thing a little bit up here, adding shorts up in here. And eventually this thing's going to come crashing down, and you got to be shorting this thing. They got a lot of people on board on this one, on this little shoot up here today. And ultimately, if you look at this, let's draw this. You got this trend line here. This was the old all-time high, but we came right back in and closed below it. So that tells me it's slightly bullish or bearish. If you're above the MAs, though, you're slightly bullish. You are consolidating sideways. Kind of chopping up and down. We had pretty good volume today, but it had a nice push up and a nice reversal down. So you have to watch that and keep an eye on Ntes. Weekly, same thing. We got above that high, which was at 262.82. Never closed below. See if we could get a little topping tail come Friday on the weekly chart. And then the monthly chart really tells the story on Ntes. You're just getting way too stretched from this high. The further it gets stretched, the harder this thing's going to fall. It is a monthly time frame, so it takes a little bit like this. It pulls up, takes 2 months to come back in, goes up, takes 2 months to come back in. Look, 4 months up, 2 months down. Now we have way too much up move in this one. I believe we can easily come back to this area 186.22, but we'll see what happens on the weekly chart close first, and we'll go from there. Let's take a look at the IBB. Man, this one just a bloodbath, guys. Went right back into the 300 area and straight back down. Next level, I think, is going to be the 263.81. But if the SPY starts selling off, I really think we could go into these low pivots around 240. So really keep an eye on this one. You do have good support right in here with the 200 MA. Let's go to the weekly really quick, or the daily. But the daily, man, this thing's just breaking apart. I mean, we had good resistance here at the 200 at this pivot low. Do we have any gaps or anything? We have the gap fill in there, and this thing just cruised right through it. That's why I'm thinking 264 is your next area. And it's not that far away. And usually you'll get a nice 3 days of a surge going into that area, but ultimately, man, you got a big gap fill down in here around 250, the even number. You go back to the weekly. Just be careful if you're in this IBM long or IBB long. Yeah, 263, but ultimately, man, 250 area, 240 down in here at these pivots. And coming off of a high pivot here, and this thing's really starting to dump. Got to watch the volume too. Let's see what the volume was today, guys. Yeah, volume's been pretty good, so they're dumping this thing out. Someone's coming in and distributing here, and they're not wasting any time before it starts getting to the low here. So really keep an eye on it, but ultimately, you got a gap fill right here, which is nuts. 241.64, but man, the way this thing's falling right here, keep an eye out for this blue line right around the 263, 264 area, and we'll see how it reacts there. If this thing gap retraces up into the 200 here, you could possibly short it. If it comes right up into this area, you can definitely short it up there. That I would not hesitate. Let's see, monthly chart, I'll show you again on this one. Big bearish inside bar pattern. Look, it's starting. If this thing plays out, I'm telling you, no lies, going to 200 bucks. Just like this. Look, inside bar, look at that slacking. Inside. And this consolidation's 5 times heavier than this one, where you can get a massive move down. If the market's starting, honestly, we could go to this pivot at 164. But one day at a time, guys. I'm getting a little excited here. Let's look at BABA. BABA, we did have a trade on here. And we're back in the money. We took half off at 104, popped back up. And let's see if this thing can move down a little bit lower. Everyone is talking, oh man, if you were long and didn't take profits on this one, man, you know, we did catch a little bit of a bid today. I would have loved to have seen it fill the gap here, but never made it. Got a bid. Markets were complacent, so they can work this thing up possibly. But man, look at this. I mean, we're down, bearish consolidation, pops it to the 750, then drops it 2 days. Support, I mean, it needs to get back above the 20 MA and then start, you know, scratching and clawing its way up this way to get into these highs again. But if it doesn't do that, I mean, we confirmed under the 20. I'm thinking next level, boom, and then the 50 MA, and then possibly this pivot. I mean, even number of 102, that's going to have some support too. So Just keep an eye on that. Let's see what pattern develops on the daily. Weekly though, weekly got up there, still bullish, still above the MAs, a little stretch from the 20, so I still think it can pull back a little bit. But we're going to see where this thing closes on the weekly. If it closes below these pivots, and man, if it closed below that pivot around the $100.93, I think we're going to start heading down into possibly these pivots here, 93. Then you have 97. If you're bullish, you need to get above these highs and continue going. And I'd like to see more consolidation before it does that. But if this slight consolidation starts to fail, we're going to head down. Let's look at Apple. Apple today was up $1.04, trying to get above that level we talked about yesterday. Let's go to the daily. So the daily, we pulled back, but we did close above it now. Sorry, guys, I was on a hold there. I had a phone call to take. But anyways, yeah, so Apple's above this area again. Let's see if we can close. We did close below the high of this candle. So let's see if we could get above this and continue going into the 119.85 area. If we get up into that area and this gap fill around 120.63, but, you know, earnings are coming up on these. Maybe they're running them up into earnings and then selling them off. I don't know. That's what, you know, that's what I'm looking at. You got Amazon running, Google, you got all these things running again. I've seen this. They all run up into earnings. Everyone's doing, they're upgrading them galore, and they have earnings, and everyone goes, wow, that's terrible, and the thing just bombs. So just be careful with these. If you're in the money on any of these high flyers, take some profits off before earnings and protect them. And if they pop up, big deal. They're all going to come down eventually when the SPY starts to dump. Period. So anyways, weekly chart on Apple. Let's see if we can close above that trend line, above the 618. We're still above it now, so let's see by Friday if we can close above it. It looks pretty good so far, but you never know. If the market's dumped, these will come right back in. So let's look at CMG. CMG, this has been a fun one, guys. CMG on the daily. Daily goes right into this area, right into this 200 moving average, this trend line. We talked about this a couple days ago. That's a textbook short there. Everyone's going long. This thing pulls around right back into the 20 MA though, and right back into this 382 retrace. So it's holding this area. Let's see if it did it close. Let's see the price, 418.52. I don't know where. I think it closed right below the 20 MA. Hold on, 20 MA, 418.57. Where'd this thing close today? 418.52. So right below the 20 MA, excuse me, the 20 MA. So right now, this is technically it's bullish because it's almost above all the Actually, no, it's below the 200. What am I talking about? So this is getting to be a little bit more bearish. Let's see if it can hold the 20 MA. If it starts cracking through the 50, I think it's going right down to gap fill. But you are making lower high or higher lows, so you got to watch this trend line as well down here. If it comes into this area, you could possibly get a bounce, especially if it gets to the 750 retrace and fills that gap down there. This gap right in here, right around the $400 area. But keep an eye on this one. That was a great short, guys. We shorted it, and it's still going down. We did cover it. I don't know what we got from it, but made some pretty good money on that one. Weekly chart on this one, same thing. You know, you're looking at the weekly. Let's see here. Yeah, we pop up here. We're into the trend line, comes back in. You still have some support here right around the 20, but look, we're below the 200, we're below the 50, and this thing's starting to set up in a bearish manner. We had an inside bar, pulled back, chopped around, bounced up, came right back in, and let's see if we can continue on the downside into this trend line, and we'll see how it reacts. We'll watch this on a weekly close at this point. Doesn't look bad. You're still above the 20 MA, but if you close below the 20 on the weekly, then we could possibly see lower prices. Again, though, if the SPY and the indexes start dumping, everything's going down. Twilio. This one was a fun one, huh? Right into the $50 area. Bouncing. Let's go to the daily. We talked about it. We shorted it. We already covered this one and out, but we talked about the 618 right about the 50, and here we are today. That was a great call, let me tell you. And then you got this pivot, 618. It's holding. See if we consolidate. If we consolidate sideways, we could possibly be setting up for lower prices. If the SPY starts to dump, I'm thinking maybe 43.76 right down in this area. You also have the 45.69 or the 750 retrace. So let's see if we could get some more bearish consolidation. It did confirm below the MAs. So at this point, this is a weak stance. If you are long, you're holding on for everything at this point. Don't be adding down here because we can definitely get down in this area. I don't even know what these guys do. I just heard everybody or read everything on StockTwist said, oh man, this is the one. You got to get in. It's Twilio. And then look what happened. We still played this topping tail, never confirmed above it, and good night. That was it. So hopefully someone caught these trades out there. And for all you longs out there, sorry. I hope you listen to me. And we have a topping tail on the weekly too. Retraced it back up. This is where you add shorts. Kaboom. So, you know, boom. And then honestly, you can even go to 37, this low pivot here. So just be careful. If the markets start to sell, another IPO, high flyer, got everyone stuck up here. It's Twilio. This is great. And boom, slamming it right in your face. Just be careful. You know what, though? Let's go to the monthly. Excuse me. Just want to see. I'm going to take this one out here. Oh, come on. Come on now. I just want to see what the retrace is from here to here. Take a bigger one from the top to the bottom. Right there. So, yes, 47.60. You have the 618 from the top to bottom. 42.63. So you still, you know, you have the 5.0 here if you take the pivot from the low. If you take it from here, you're into the 618. So you're going to start getting support. But, man, on a monthly, if this closes down here, look at this engulfing candle to this candle. That is massive. That's telling me it's setting up for lower prices. Just be careful in Twilio, guys. Just be really, really careful, in my opinion. All right, guys, that's going to be it for tonight. Thanks again for watching my videos. God bless. See you on the charts.